My name is Nasser and I am from Algeria. The topic of my research revolves around the obstacles that stand in front of the organization charged with combating doping and the reality of their performance in the fight. In reality, our aim was to explain the big difference between organization in terms of performance and influence, and we know that Africa is too late in this area. Through this, the following question can be asked. 1. Why is the performance of regional and national anti-doping organizations different from one country to another and from one region to another? Does the member states' political, economic, and security situation affect this? Is it possible to consider the legal, financial, and administrative aspects influencing the effectiveness of its performance? Wada's mission is to lead a collaborative worldwide movement for doping-free sport by developing, harmonizing, coordinating, and monitoring anti-doping rules and policy across all sport and countries. This diagram shows precisely the structured committees and branches on which the agency relies to manage the fight of anti-doping in the world. This map shows regional anti-doping organizations. There are currently 12 regional anti-doping organizations bringing together 190 countries across Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, Latin America, and Oceania. The main objective of regional anti-doping organization is to answer a strategy to support and develop anti-doping programs in member states through the regional and cooperative approach. This map shows us the regional anti-doping organization for the continent of Africa, and it's divided into 5 regions, where North Africa is concerned with the totality of Arabic countries. And the member states are Tunisia, Algeria, State of Libya, Mauritania, and Morocco. Now, we turn now to the national anti-doping organizations. These are organizations that have been designed by their country or government as the primary authority of the national level for a country's anti-doping program. The Tunisian Anti-Doping Agency is oldest and the best in the group because it's considered the most experience and activity in the region, and it's the only one that can be considered to have international standards. It's regrettable that the American Anti-Doping Agency does not exist in the manner indicated by law, which explains the absence of activity reports related to its work, as well as the absence of activation of its website through which all the data can be tracked. With regard to the Algerian Anti-Doping Agency, the date of the law defining establishment was in 2030, and it remained outside the framework of implementation until 2020 to issue an executive decree. To this day, the application and the regulatory decrees for its establishment have not been issued. And we can say that the Algerian organization is still under the name of the National Committee for Anti-Doping. And if we look at Mauritania as a member of the regional organization, it has no representation for the international agency, except through the Mauritanian Olympic Committee. Concerning the Libyan state, So we could not obtain any information related to its creation of laws, who regulated it. And we tried to communicate via its Facebook page, but we received no response. We deeply regret that the situation of the member states of the North African Regional Organization is tense, each according to his situation. After the war in Libya destroyed all institutions, the internal political and economic crisis exhausts the Republic of Tunisia, and it greatly affected the conflict between Algeria and Morocco, which led to the severing of all channels of diplomatic and political communication between the two countries. After explaining some theoretical elements, we want to identify the indicator indicating the practical framework of the organization's activities. And we have identified the existence of a specialized laboratory and carrying out 5 research projects as positive indications of effectiveness and activity. It should be noted that the accreditation of laboratory by the World Anti-Doping Agency or obtaining project funding from the UNESCO fund or the scientific grant of the World Anti-Doping Agency is a clear indication of the activities of the organization. We have already said that Tunisia is one of the developed countries in the fight of anti-doping, if not the only one in the Arab and African countries, as it is a laboratory obtained international accreditation in 2001. Tunisia was one of 35 laboratories that were accredited all over the world. It's important that the regression witnessed by Tunisia and the region led to the revocation of accreditation of the laboratory in 2030 due to non-compliance with international standards for laboratory. The fund for the elimination of doping in sport consists of voluntary contribution from UNESCO member states and United Nations organizations and programs. The financing of the national projects is estimated at $35,000, while the value of the regional project is about $95,000. So, through the table, we notice that the largest amount goes to Tunisia as an active and important body, while the contribution of Morocco and Algeria was weak. Through this table, we see that the contribution of the regional organization for the North African is very low. Out of 280 projects, the organization obtained only 8. And out of $4 million, the amount collected did not exceed $180,000. This is, of course, is very weak indicator. As for the World Anti-Doping Agency, the support is very important. Since 2001, when the World Anti-Doping Agency started to implement the agency's scientific research grant, to date, Wada reports having invested approximately $83 million in research grants over the past 20 years. The Social Science Research Grant Program was created to answer that preventing anti-doping education programs since 2005. Since 2001, Wada has funded projects in strictly scientific areas such as ways to promote growth and ways to improve oxygen delivery and detection and private substances and metals, identification and detection of substances with the potential for doping abuse. When we look at this map, which shows the distribution of projects across the world, we notice that the North African region is completely devoid of any project. As this table shows the high number of projects across the 5 continents, Africa remains far from ambiguous. We notice from this table that the institutions supervising the follow-up and the realization of the project, such as universities, laboratories, governmental organizations, and experts, constitute a strong support for the country. And it's what we notice that is missing currently the group of organizations of North African countries. So, through what was previously presented, the factors for the anti-doping mission of the North African organizations are summarized as below. 1. Not launching national and regional cooperation projects for UNESCO. 2. Not benefiting from the World Anti-Doping Agency cooperation projects. 3. The absence of national laboratory and specialized institutions. So, we confirm that the lack of administrative and financial independence make the North African national anti-doping organizations ineffective in carrying out their work. The World Anti-Doping Agency recognized the need to support regional organizations and developed a strategy for the 2021-2025 program to support and promote the development of anti-doping program in member countries through a regional cooperative approach to strengthen relations between regional organizations and the governments of member states. The World Anti-Doping Agency also recognized the importance of supporting national organizations through the World Program Anti-Doping 2021, which stresses the need for national organizations to be independent in their operational decisions and activities from sports and government. The World Anti-Doping Agency took an important step, which is not to besiege the national organization in its regional environment, but to give them the opportunity to cooperate with national organizations from other countries outside the regional environment. And this is in order to benefit from the advanced national organizations in experience and activity. However, we notice through the list of countries that concluded agreement that the organizations of North African countries are completely absent from the project. Finally, to summarize, the problem of adopting laws and legislation by governments to try to show good intention without applying them on the ground further complicate the situations and imposes a state of uncertainty, and with the existence of political differences, the task of anti-doping organizations will become impossible with the possibility of criminalizing regional and international cooperation. Thank you for listening.